Hey guys, welcome to the Old Ultra Runner channel. I'm your host Jay Tynert, and today I wanted to talk about the 3 apps that I use all the time for running. There are several apps out there. My primary apps that I use include Garmin Connect, which is specific to Garmin watches. It allows your GPS information to be captured. It'll show maps of where you went. It can send out what they call a live track, which allows you to send your GPS data real time out to people so they can see where you're at. I have found that useful in some cases so my wife can track where I'm at or could find me easier if I had a problem. I use it kind of as a training log. It keeps track of the miles you've run, the distances. I can have walk activities. It basically does most of the things you would want from a running app. Now there are competitive ones. Polar has one. Suunto has their own app. Coros. All the big watch manufacturers have their own apps that probably all perform pretty similarly. They do a lot of the same features. I use the Garmin Connect app because I have a Garmin watch as my GPS watch. Primary training diary to check on my run, see my speed. It also has features that will guesstimate how you're recovering, how your sleep is. It'll count your steps. I sometimes will use the steps to help me get an idea of, am I moving enough on days, especially when I'm not running. Anyway, I find it very useful. The second app that I use all the time is Strava. Strava is another app that is kind of like a training diary, but I have the data from my Garmin watch feed straight into Strava. Strava you can also start up have the app on your phone, and if you don't have your GPS watch or you don't have a GPS watch, you can start an activity in Strava. It'll grab the GPS from your phone and it will map it all out and keep track of your distance and time and all that stuff. But my primary reason for using Strava is I find it superior for social. It's kind of my social place for running and exercise. People with all different types of devices, whether you have a Garmin, Coros, Suunto, whatever, can be linked to Strava, and then you can share it. It's a lot easier to find people to connect to and then there's people using all different devices that are in Strava. So I can see my friend that has a Suunto watch. I can see what they're doing. You can upload pictures, so you can have pictures in it. So you can track how your other people are doing. You can comment on them. You can encourage people. Strava also has features like you can draw a segment and then show everybody that goes through it. It'll show the fastest time on a particular segment. Now I've gotten older and slower, so I'm never going to be the fastest time. But I have become like a local legend for running one of the identified Strava segments the most of anyone during a 30-day period or whatever. And then it'll also tell you things like, this is the second fastest you've run it, or the fastest you've ever run this little segment, or the third fastest. And then there's all kinds of little challenges. There are some challenges in Garmin as well. I just find that there's more of them in Strava. So Strava is kind of my social media place to track. It's also kind of cool in that it tracks other sports, so I'm able to see the activity, encourage people. They're friends of mine that do primarily cycling or triathlon. You can put other activities in there as well, your weightlifting. Garmin does that, but Strava is more general in that it'll work for everybody, and I think the social media features, the sharing is a little better in Strava. So I have my Garmin stuff feed into Strava, and I use that as well. The third app I use quite often, I got interested when Ricky Gates did running every single street of San Francisco a few years ago. I became interested in running every street of my little city of Bedford. I was planning to go buy a fancy map to do this, and then I was going to draw lines each time I finished a street. Well, I found out about CityStrides.com. It's not an app for your phone. It's actually a website. You put in your information. It's free, but you can connect it to like your Garmin watch or just a Strava if you're using Strava from the phone. You can also, there's some other apps that'll connect to it. Anyway, once you've done your route, it'll go and it draws on a map the streets you have completed, and it'll show you the nodes, the portion of streets that you haven't hit yet. And it keeps track of what all you've run, and it'll show you when you complete a city. It's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. Now since it doesn't have an app, you can open up the CityStrides.com website on your phone, and it does have a mobile version, which makes it readable. It's not super real time in that while I'm running, I can't see it mark off the street for me. It takes a little while for it to update, but it's still so much better than going back to a manual map and drawing it. It'll do it for you. It can sometimes take several hours. Now I go ahead and I want to support the developer because I think it's such an awesome website that I pay like a membership fee of $2 per month, and that's supposed to give me priority updating of my map. But I mostly just pay the $2 a month to support the people that are developing it and keep it up to date. For instance, they're updating it every once in a while. At one time, last summer, I completed the streets of Bedford, and then I completed the streets of Euless. But now it shows that I'm only 95-point-something% of Euless because there have been some new streets, some new neighborhoods built and opened up. So I need to go back and run a few streets to be back to 100% of Euless. But I really enjoy that website as well. So those are the primary apps I use. There's lots of other great apps out there. There's Runkeeper that you can start, again, kind of like Strava, in that you can hit the button and start the activity. It'll take the GPS from your from your phone and map out your route that you've done and keep track of your distance. There's the Nike Run app. There's Map My Run does similar. Map My Run kind of has a neat feature. If you move to go to a new city or somewhere you don't know, you can bring it up on the website, or I think you can do it on your phone as well. And you can draw out based on the streets where you want to go, and it'll tell you the distance that you'll cover. So you can kind of map it out ahead of time and really have an idea. If you're looking for a 4-mile run, you can map it out ahead of time and know where to run to get 4 miles. So that's kind of a neat feature. But anyway, those are my 3 primary apps. Hope you found this enjoyable. I'm going to do a little bit of a video showing a little bit of pictures from the 3 apps. Thank you.
So this is the Garmin Connect app. Up here at the top, it's showing my current training status. It says I'm in recovery mode. It estimates my VO2 max at 47. It has a load number that shows how heavily you're training. Then it's got my current heart rate, my high for the day. It calculates a stress level as to how hard you're working for the day. These are the intensity minutes I've done so far this week. These are the steps I've done today, and I've set a goal of 10,000 per day. It shows how many floors I've gone up and down. Estimated calories, which I don't really use much, and this shows your sleep from the previous night. Just another example is I go in, here's a run that I did yesterday, 4.52 miles, and the time. If I click into it, it's going to show my average pace. It shows the amount of elevation gain I did. It estimates the calories you burned. It's got a map of where you went. This is the elevation change as I went. You can click in. Again, this is average pace, average speed, total moving time, average heart rate, training effect. They're calculating how much benefits you're getting anaerobically and aerobically. It shows your run cadence, how quickly you're turning over your feet. It has a temperature thing, but that's not real accurate for me because I don't have a temperature thing to feed into it. Anyway, there's tons of information in this app. There's my last 7 days. It shows that I've run 41 miles in the last 7 days. I've walked 11.3. Average resting heart rate 51. So there's just tons of data in the Garmin app. It's very, very powerful. Now for Strava, if I go into Strava, this is me. It shows the number of people you're following, who's following you. You can click in it and get a list of names. You can add, it's real easy to search for people's names and find it, but then it also keeps a log, how many activities you've logged, the statistics for the year, the amount of mileage. You can go see routes. But the thing I like is the social media sort of thing. I go into activities and it's going to show, that's just showing me. Go to home. Yeah, here I get other people, friends of mine, and I see their activities and how long they went and their distance, and you're able to then give them a thumbs up, a kudos. You can click and give them comments. It has maps of where they went. They can add photos, like there's someone that added a photo. Anyway, it's very cool for social media. Okay, and here's my CityStrides.com app. In the mobile format, it's going to show the total number of activities I've logged. The pinned city, which is the last one I was running in, was Euless. It's showing me at 95.95% complete. 664 out of 692 streets complete. I had hit 100, but they redrew the maps and added some more. It'll show your most recent activities and how many streets that completed. I haven't been running any new streets, so all mine shows 0 new completed streets, but it just shows your distance because it's getting that all sent to it from Garmin. If I click into a city, it brings up a map of the city and all the streets you've run. You can come down and see, this is the total number of cities I've run. I can hit this, here's a list for that city, 28 incomplete streets, 664 complete, and then it lists your 28 incomplete streets, and you can click show and go straight to that street to see where it is. You can go to complete, you can go to Striders and see who else is running those streets of that city. It's got, if I go, okay, CityStrides also has a thing called Life Map that shows everywhere that it shows that you run streets, whether it's in a particular city or not. So you can see I've run a few in Arlington, I've run some in Irving, I've run in some and it'll actually even have some that I've run in other cities or states, as long as I had my Garmin watch to feed into the CityStrides app. It also has a thing that'll show, like here it's showing all my total completed streets, and some of them, I have 1,571 completed with GPS. It does have the ability to manually complete a street, and that has, I've used that a few times. You try not to use it very often, but sometimes you'll get to where they'll have a node that's behind a locked gate that you can't get to. The map is not perfect, and occasionally it will not let you, you don't really have access to a last little bit of a street. So I go manually mark it complete because I've run all the street that I can get to, or I've run down a street but they have nodes on both sides and it doesn't pick up a node that's on the other side, but I've really run the whole street. So I'll go mark it manually complete in some cases. I found it very useful, and those are the 3 apps that I primarily use for running. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up and keep moving.